one of just my favorite aspects of this, and I think lots of people's, are the conflict between Stephen Douglas and Abraham Lincoln, which is endlessly fascinating, especially for these two figures who almost seem like they come from central casting of what
Right.
you would want for the
Right.
political debate to how you would want the political debate to transpire in this period. So I was wondering if you could talk about the different visions that each of them represent circa 1858 for the future of the United States.
I think Douglas gets a bad rap, in a sense, in the literature, just simply in the fact that he now exists totally in the shadow of Lincoln.
Yeah.
All anybody knows, if they've ever heard of Douglas, is he's the guy who debated Lincoln, right? But of course, in the 1850s, it was the other way around.
Yeah, like
right?
Lincoln was the guy who debated Douglas.
Exactly.
That's how he becomes
That's
famous.
what makes Lincoln a prominent figure. And Douglas is a figure of that era. He's a nationalist, an expansionist, an imperialist. He thinks, yeah, we'll definitely take over Cuba, we'll take over Canada, we'll take over Mexico. No problem. That's the destiny of the United States. He's a manifest destiny man. And to do that, we need railroads, we need development, not by the federal government, because he's a Democrat, but you create the circumstance where entrepreneurs can invest and build up the economy and all that.
All he wanted was a railroad for Chicago, and
Right.
you get Kansas,
And
Nebraska,
he's
and everything goes to hell.
He's a Illinois nationalist, and build up Illinois, build up Chicago. Although he said the South can get, if they want a railroad, let's build one from Texas out to San Diego and that kind of thing. And Douglas has figured out that the way to have the nation survive is to keep slavery off the agenda.
Yeah.
That's an insight, and that's what you got to do. Keep slavery out of the picture. That's what he's trying to do. Of course, it works exactly opposite with popular sovereignty.
Yeah.
Get the issue into the territories so that in Congress they don't have to debate it. So it's not a national issue anymore. It's a local issue, and let local authorities determine it. And that is the only way the society can. The political system can survive.
It's another way of quarantining slavery, sort of the latest version of that
Right.
longer history.
You quarantine slavery, and it seems democratic.
Yeah.
Let local people decide what they want.
I mean, his argument is it's quintessentially democratic.
Right.
Which is a really fascinating contrast with the Southerners, right? And so that you can depict both. So you have South Carolina coming out for arguably this anti-democratic proposition and saying, we reject Jefferson. He was wrong. But in 1858, Stephen Douglas is taking the exact opposite position, saying, no, I am the inheritor of Jefferson's vision, because what my interpretation of the Declaration as limited to white people, that is what Jefferson wanted.
Right. And also, he's an inheritor of Jefferson's idea of the Empire of Liberty.
Yeah.
An empire in which each local unit is self-determining, rather than a normal empire where a metropolitan power rules over colonial powers. That's not the American system. The state, the colonies or territories eventually come in as equal states.
Yeah.
They're just part of the system. Douglas. So the South is also rejecting democracy because they no longer want people to vote in the territories. They want to impose slavery on all the territories, whether anyone wants it or not.
Which some people would say is evidence on the anti-democratic charge. But of course, that means that Lincoln in 1858 is anti-democratic because he has the same position, just on the reverse.
Except for one thing. Lincoln has the luxury that the South doesn't have, that he represents the majority. Mm-hmm. If you represent the majority, you can be very democratic, because a national democratic decision will work in the way that the Republicans want. So Lincoln is a Northern Democrat, small d, not a party, because he says, let the nation decide this. But of course, he knows the North has a majority now. So what confronts the South is, how can you be in a democratic system when you are the minority? Yeah. I mean, that goes back to Madison, or it goes back to Aristotle. I don't know. It's a perennial thing. How are the rights of a minority protected in a majoritarian democratic system?